Recent investigative reporting indicates that conservative Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas is not only corrupt as hell, but he may very well have repeatedly broken the law. Intrigued? Then click that like and subscribe and enjoy the video. Alright folks, as again a bit of a disclaimer, I am still on the back end of either a wicked sinus infection or the flu. There's a bit of congestion, so if I sound like I'm going through puberty, just bear with me. It's probably not puberty. Maybe. Anyway, here at this channel, here at Pondering Politics, we are not fans of conservative Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas for a variety of reasons. But recent reporting from a watchdog site called ProPublica gives us more reason, additional reason, to dislike Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, as if we needed any more. So, as reported by the Citizens for the Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington, aka CREW, breaking: Clarence Thomas has been taking luxury vacations for years, paid by a billionaire Republican donor, and has never disclosed them, an apparent violation of the law. And the ProPublica goes into kind of the details, and we'll look at it here. For over 20 years, Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas has been treated to luxury vacations by billionaire Republican donor Harlan Crowe, which, by the way, sidebar, as somebody who loves pop culture, what a fantastic freaking name. Harlan Crowe. I mean, look at him. It's like, I wouldn't say a Bond villain, but there was a show on FX a couple of years back called Justified with Timothy Oliphant, and he was basically a U.S. Marshal, and he was assigned to Eastern Kentucky and whatever. This dude sounds like, I don't know, a season 6 big bad of Justified. Republican donor Harlan Crowe. So anyway, it's got some great visuals here. He goes on cruises in far-flung locales in Crowe's yacht, flies on his private jet, and keeps company with Crowe's powerful friends at the billionaire's private resort. Like, you know, they're just gathered around some sort of like fireplace and talking about the plebs and the poors and others as well. The extent of Crowe's largesse has never been revealed until now. And then the article goes into great detail. So basically, if Thomas had chartered the plane and the 162-foot yacht himself, the total cost of the trip would have exceeded $500,000. And this is referring to a vacation of 9 days of island hopping in the volcanic archipelago on a super yacht staffed by a coterie of attendants and private chef off the coast of Indonesia. For more than 2 decades, Thomas has accepted luxury trips virtually every year from Dallas businessmen without disclosing them, documents and interviews show. A public servant who has a salary of $285,000. He's vacation on Crowe's super yacht around the globe. He flies on Crowe's Bombardier Global 5000 jet. He's gone to Crowe to the Bohemian Grove, the exclusive California all-male retreat, and to Crowe's sprawling ranch in East Texas. And Thomas typically spends about a week in every summer at Crowe's private resort in the Adirondacks, so in like upper New York. The extent and frequency of Crowe's apparent gifts to Thomas have no known precedent in modern history of the U.S. Supreme Court. These trips appeared nowhere on Thomas's financial disclosures. His failure to report the flights appeared to violate a law passed after Watergate that requires justices, judges, and members of Congress and federal officials to disclose most gifts. Two ethics law experts said. He should have disclosed his trips on the yacht, these experts said. He did not respond to the detailed list of questions. And so, again, the article goes into more detail, but in terms of vacations, I think there was like a 7-foot statue that was donated to him by Harlan Crowe or some sort of billionaire. But the article goes at length here. It tries to itemize in terms of expenses, some of these vacations, some of these gifts. And listen, I know that right now we live in a world where Donald Trump, the former president, is being indicted in Manhattan, New York. So something like this might not seem anywhere near as sexy or as scandalous. But it is a big deal. The fact of the matter is, Justice Thomas has indicated for some time that he's pretty corrupt and unethical. The biggest example of which, by the way, concerned him presiding over Supreme Court cases pertaining to the January 6th insurrection, when his wife, Ginny Thomas, Clarence Thomas's wife, Ginny Thomas, was in correspondence during the 2020 presidential election, working with Republicans, including high-ranking Republicans, including Donald Trump's own chief of staff, Mark Meadows, to try to come up with ways to contest the election and to overturn the results. There are just scrolls and scrolls worth of text exchanges between Ginny Thomas and Mark Meadows and others. And there was at least one Supreme Court case in which investigators were looking to access the text messages of people affiliated with attempts to overturn the 2020 election. And it made its way to the Supreme Court. And rather than recuse himself because it involved his wife, he stayed on the bench, and he was the one dissent. Even the other conservative justices said that, investigators had a right to look at these text messages in terms of attempts to overthrow or overturn the election and attempts to, stage an insurrection. Justice Thomas was the only one who said, no, they shouldn't be able to look at people's text messages about this stuff. Come on. Because his wife was one of the texters. An ethical person would have recused himself. Be like, you know what? I can't preside over this. I've got to sit out. But he didn't. And the sad thing is, because this is the Supreme Court, the highest federal court in the land, there's no higher court. There's no higher court which can force Justice Thomas to go, dude, bro, come on. Sit this one out. I'm tapping you out. At this point, the Supreme Court is truly self-governing, which makes them in their own unique way more powerful in certain contexts than both Congress and the president, right? Congress people, senators, presidents are subjected to term limits, right? Well, if you sit on the Supreme Court, you're unelected, number one, and it's a lifetime appointment until you either die or you choose to retire, or in the extremely unlikely event that you're successfully impeached, which is possible. So the fact that these ethics rules, which govern every other lower court, district courts, circuit courts, local state courts, federal courts, but not the Supreme Court, it's sketchy as hell. We're putting quite a bit of trust in the judgment and the independence and the responsibility of these 9 unelected jurists. And Clarence Thomas is proof that that trust is misgiven. It's misplaced, because he, at least, this conservative Supreme Court justice, is clearly unethical, clearly corrupt, and he's clearly not abiding by the judicial and ethical standards that he helps impose on other people. So this is sketchy. Again, legal experts say that he probably violated the law, so this should be investigated, and this should prompt Congress to seriously, look to impose legislation and guidelines against the Supreme Court, which Congress has a right to do, to basically say, if then else, in the event of this, you're automatically recused. Get the hell out. You must automatically, report this, and this, and if you don't, you're in violation of the law, whatever. Congress needs to look at this, not just look at this, they need to pass meaningful legislation to rein these corrupt justices in, starting with Clarence Thomas. Hey, you! Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, and I hope that you did, please hit the like and subscribe buttons below. And if you absolutely hated the video, the best revenge for you is also to hit the like and subscribe buttons below. That'll teach me. If you want to share an opinion or share some feedback, go ahead and leave a comment, all right? 2023 is a year of change, hence the aggressive rebrand and commitment to new content. Inspired by my friends Luke Beasley and STV Philly, my personal goal for this channel is to hit 40,000 subscribers by the end of the year. So I'm hoping you'll do me a solid by spreading the word and the videos to potential fans and hate watchers alike. And in the meantime, we'll be pondering politics again with you very soon.